Today we're going to talk about perfect tenses of verbs. This can be kind of a complex discussion, so pay attention. If you need to watch the video twice, that's just fine. Our learning target today says I can identify perfect tenses of verbs in a sentence. So what's a verb again? Remember, a verb is a word used to describe an action or state of being. So here are some examples. Write, draw, run, play, create, sing, act. These are all verbs. These are things you can do. They have some sort of action. What's a participle? Well, a participle is formed from a verb that you saw on the last screen. It is formed from a verb, and depending on its tense, either past, present, or future, it can start with will have or end in ed or ing. So some examples are have jumped, has voted, or will have typed. Notice the verb jumped, voted, and typed all have their own specific verb inside of them. Jump, vote, type. What's perfect tense? The word perfect actually means made complete. So what you're making is a sentence that is complete by using the correct tense of the word have plus the participle. So your job today is to make a sentence using the word have and adding a participle, which is just the verb. So if you look down at this chart, you're going to see the verb is over here, jumped, and I have the correct tense, which is has, had, or will have. So over here you have, once again, the correct tense of the word have, and you have the participle, which is a verb, jumped. Now we call these present perfect tense. So in a sentence, you might say, Tom has jumped. That would be the present perfect tense or the complete sentence with has and jumped. You could say the past perfect tense of the sentence, which is Tom had jumped. Or you could say the future perfect tense. Tom will have jumped. So we're going to go through a couple more examples and definitions here. Some perfect tenses of verbs. Remember, there are 3 perfect tenses of a verb. They are used to tell when an action was or will be completed. And you can remember this, they're just present, past, and future tenses. The first tense that we're going to talk about is the present perfect tense. It says the present perfect tense shows an action that began in the past and continues into the present. It uses the linking verb has with a participle ending in ed. So if you can kind of think of it as math, you're really just adding a verb has with a participle, which is another verb form. She has biked to school every day this week. Now, the most important thing about this to remember is has is the present tense form of the word have. Keep that in mind. The second type of tense we're going to talk about is past perfect tense. The past perfect tense shows a past action that ended before another action began. It uses a form of have which is had, plus the participle that ends in ed. So example, she had biked to school before the bell. This happened in the past. How do I know that? Because it has the form of the word have, which is had. Now we're going to talk about the future perfect tense. Once again, if you think about this equation, you know we're going to have to use a participle. We're also going to have to use a form of the word have. The future perfect tense shows a future action that will have ended before another begins. It uses the form of have, will have, plus a participle that ends in ed. I will have biked to school by the time you arrive. It's going to happen in the future. So, the formula for perfect tenses or complete tenses is to combine a form of the verb have, remember, have, has, will have, with the past participle of the main verb. Let's look at some more examples. I'm going to have you take some notes on this. So, take out a notebook and you're going to want to start writing this down. Try to make each box, if you can. This is just a 3 by 3 table. You're going to want to pause the video here. When you're done, push play. Hopefully you have the table done. Now it's your turn. Let's practice. Present perfect, present past perfect, or future perfect. Can you guess what type of sentence this is? The stallion will have run many miles. So take a look. You've got the participle here, run. That's a form of the word ran. And then you've also got this in front, a form of have. This one says will have. So is this going to happen in the present, in the past, or in the future? The stallion will have run many miles. If you guessed future perfect tense, you're right. On to the next one. The sentence says the sky had opened up and there was a storm. Is this telling us it's the past, the present, or the future? The sky had opened up and there was a storm. Notice a form of the word have and a past and a participle. If you guessed past perfect tense, you're correct. Just think it says past tense. Yes, this was past tense. And why is it perfect? Well, it's past perfect tense because we used a form of the word have in it to make it complete. And a third one, they have crossed the river. Notice I could just take this out. I could say they crossed the river. But if I say that, I'm not making a perfect sentence. It's not perfect. It isn't complete. I have a form of the word have here. I also have a form of the verb cross. This is my participle right here. Crossed. They have crossed the river. If you guessed present perfect tense, you are correct. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. You can go back and replay it if you feel like you need to. Now we're going to move on to taking a quiz.